my takeaway is I didn't know if I was able to do this job when I started because, I came out of casting.
Yep.
And now I'm happy in my job. I like my job. There is so many things I need to improve on, right? I'm not saying I'm set yet, but I made it work with what I had till playoff, and I will remember it as a success, whereas the first year was just a pure failure for me. So at least I'm improving, and that's very important when you do a job that you like. You don't want to be bad at it, but as long as you keep improving, there is a reason for you to keep grinding.
This is Zento from Esports Heaven, and I have here with me Zaboutine from Optic. Now, you guys unfortunately just lost this game against CLG, and I kind of want to go back to the series itself. Before getting into specific games, what do you think kind of went wrong overall for Optic today?
I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I feel like our training was not really what CLG would play. So it's pretty hard. So like the meta right now has shifted into a lot of melee matchup in the mid lane and top lane, and CLG kind of stick to the range matchups. We had a really good approach in the first game but we didn't pull the victory. They should be punished for what they did with what we had, and we didn't manage. I felt like we probably played 15% off, but that's what it takes, right, to get a straight 3-0. Because CLG, if you look at CLG throughout the whole season, they've been just stepping up, just fine-tuning their play and removing their mistakes. And when you get like a deficit against CLG, there's a high chance you're going to lose, whether you TR, whether you C9. So when you get your lead, you need to put the nail on the coffin. And when I saw that we didn't put the nail on the coffin, they were like validated for their strategy, and we had to find a counterplay on the game 2. I drafted really wrong, like that's on me. I gave my players like no way to play the game. And then we end up in the game 3 where like we have a strategy and we just fail to execute it. So it's kind of like rough, but at the same time, I mean that's competition, right? I feel like you have to accept to lose if you want to win at some point.
Yeah. So I kind of want to address the first game because it seems like Optic's identity in the early game is actually really good, right? You guys have a consistency to actually go for proactive plays and whatnot, but coming towards the mid game, it just seems like a lot of floundering. Maybe is it to a point to where there are too many voices trying to say what you want to do, or like what's the situation?
There's a lot of things, right? It's just I feel like they don't think about what they should think about, and I've been working with them all the time. Milius has been very vocal about what he wants to do, but I feel like there was a lot of it was very hard to create a middle ground where everybody was expressing themselves. And if you look at like the post Baron, for instance, the game 1, which is spread all across the map, but we know, right? We know from a fact we have a lot of tools. We have the Bard ultimate to prevent Azir from doing anything to the ADC and just hit the turret. We have 2 mountains. We are completely free to hit this turret, right? This is the freest game of all time.
Yeah.
We have the Poppy R to actually just push anyone away. And we have a poke comp. And I see my Corki going on solo lane, not getting anything. My Ezreal just solo poking mid. If you just change it, right? You just change the Corki and you shift him to mid, and both people are poking, you win the game. And that's it. But they're just not thinking about it. They're so obsessed with macro that they just forget that they have champs. Just press the spell that makes you win. That's it. Just press the button. Click on the turret. The turret is gone. And I see them like poking, eating, dodging the spells and stuff, and just not hitting the turret. So CLG was like, okay, if they don't want to get the base, we're just gonna wait. And we're just hitting a wall again and again and again. And I feel like there is this mentality of they're too afraid of losing. They've been underdogs. I feel like some players have been underdogs for too long, and they feel like no matter what they're gonna try, they're gonna fail. Wow, this is their game to lose, right? Just go for it.
Yeah, and speaking of which, it seems as though Crown has stepped up this entire season. Like right when he came in, people were thinking, okay, well, Crown, he's this washed up guy, he's coming from the LCK, and then he suddenly is like this mechanical genius, seemingly. But with that said, it seems as though Crown has a lot of confidence, but maybe the rest of the team doesn't. Like, what's your take on Crown and his function within your team?
I mean, there was a lot going on with Crown throughout the year. Like people asked me a lot of things. Overall, I think Crown is a great player. He has a very glass cannon type of play where he's gonna pretty much like kill the enemy or die trying.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a lot of this is a two-edged sword, right? For example, PoE is much more conservative. He's never gonna push if he doesn't have the vision. But Crown is gonna create edges here and there, but he's gonna create setbacks. You're gonna lose some games because he's gonna overstep, but I accept the price because he's a genius, right? Yeah. And you need a genius to be able to express himself. That said, I think what was hard is there's a lot of things going on, right? He's like 8 months old in the US. He needs to short call what he wants to do because he has his own way of playing the game and need to transfer it with words that are not from his native language, and all of this within like a year. So we did our best like on this, and I feel like the team seemed cohesive at some point, seems completely shattered at other games, right? But eventually we still made playoff, which is not that bad, not great, but not that bad. And yeah, like, you know, he has a 2-year contract. If Minho wants to keep working with us, because that's always how work is like, you know, it's everybody has to be on board or it's just not working. If Minho feels like his experience in the US is good and he wants to stay, I'd be super happy to work with him during the second year of his contract. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I want to talk about game 2. I don't really want to touch on game 3 because that was just kind of a really one-sided affair. But game 2, you speak about the draft and kind of maybe the faults with it. And one thing that I saw was you guys got Aatrox willingly, first pick, but then that was responded with Camille later on.
Edge.
Yeah. Were you expecting a Camille?
Yeah. We were expecting the Camille, and our bans weren't good. I feel like we knew Rune would pick the Camille. We knew topside would be hard, but we thought we could create an edge from the mid lane. We couldn't. We thought maybe after the first kill we could have played bot, but the way the draft played out, we had no answer, right? Mid is just a farm lane. Top is getting outscaled. Bot we kill them in a bad matchup, and jungle is just we have no engage. Because we can do things. Like if you look at the dive we had in the mid lane, it was very close of working. It's just Morgana shield herself instead of shielding the Sylas. If Charlotte jumps in, it's a triple kill, and we can do something. But I felt like it's really hard to have losing lane without engage. If you want to take scaling lanes, like you slightly lose and they're gonna get vision on you in the early game, you need engage in a way that when they step on your vision, when they are on your side of the map, you're able to punish anyone overstepping. But when you have a trundle, you just drop the pillar, the gauge just flashes out. And he's not going to overstep for the next 5 minutes. And then he comes back. And then you pillar and flashes out. And if it's an Azir, it's worse.
Yeah.
So we literally had all melee champs walking to all range champs with no engage whatsoever. And I'm fucking trolling for that. Like, you know, remove it from my paycheck. No, I'm fine with it, you know? It's like, I do not think that coach should be blamed for everything, but they should be blamed for what they should be blamed for, right? And I should be blamed for this.
Okay. So, if there's anything to take away from this entire season as maybe a positive for Optic Gaming or even yourself, what would that be? You
know, it has been when I start the year when Optic, so when Infinity Sports and Entertainment, when you know everything that went that this company went through, offers me like this contract. We already head into a rebuilding year. The first year we started building something, didn't really work. We had all the layoff and stuff like this. The company was literally just restructuring. So I'm heading with the idea of I want to make a team on which I can leverage for the upcoming years, right? With players and treat the confidence like a link between them and me in a way that we can work for the future. That wasn't, and I think that to some extent I did a pretty good job. Like if you look at the outcome, there were a team that on the paper should have made playoff 100% of the time, and these teams are not CLG, these teams are not Clutch, and these teams are Clutch maybe, not CLG, not us, right? Yeah. We were expecting the 100 Thieves, we were expecting Golden Guardians. FlyQuest looked pretty good in Spring Split, and I feel like there is more to leverage on from our side, for instance, that if you compare it to Ecofox, right? Went through the storm in terms of like venture capital, investment, like Immortal Gaming Club bought the company, so there is a new hierarchy. So even from the top side, like even before the sports aspect, the company is much cleaner in the current iteration. And moving forward, we have we know the players and stuff like this for next year. I think that the group was pretty cohesive at the end. The atmosphere was pretty good. They work pretty well together. So we have something to work on. If you compare it, for instance, to a team like EcoFox,
Yeah.
right? They're in the middle of like the transition. Imagine that they have to think about next year, not even knowing who owns them. There is an LCS spot that's gonna be played, but who's above?
Yeah, no one knows who.
That's
Yeah.
it. So I felt like as an organization, we managed this transition in pretty good manner. So it's pretty, as much as I'm upset and I'm very disappointed about losing to CLG, I felt like it's a successful transition for the future, and it's for us and for CLG, even if CLG is better in this iteration. And now it's up to us to know and think how we want to work next year, because we are limited on a lot of things when we started.
Yeah. So I guess, what do you have for closing thoughts for any of the Optic fans out there?
I mean, it's really hard to speak to the Optic fans because anytime I post any type of content, I just get insulted because I'm not Hector's Optic. I mean, I know Hector personally. I really appreciate him. I think he appreciates me. What I want to say is like, we did our best representing Optic. Whether we are the COD team, whether we weren't the COD team, whether there was a sale, whether there wasn't a sale, whether we Immortals in the next year, whether we stay Optic in the next year, no matter what happened, I've been wearing green my whole 2 years. I've done my very best. I lost hairs. I have gray hairs more than when I started. I put my sleep skill on the line. I put my energy on the line. I put my diet on the line if it's needed. I put everything I can, and so does the player, to pull the best out of themselves to represent not only themselves but the org they're working in. And a lot of people have a very good taste for Optic, right? So thanks for the one who stayed to this aspect of it's part of Optic no matter what, right? Whether or not it's really Call of Duty. Scum can't play for the league team, man. So you know what I mean? I really appreciate all the internal support from Hex, from Roger, all the guys that even used to work with us, and yeah, to true fans. And for the ones who were mad at us, I want to say like, I'm sorry, we had no control over everything that happened, right? I was in my office with my 5 players, my boss, so Keaton, Jake, who was taking care of the food, Croissant, that's it, right? Kublai for the academy, 5 guys of the academy, that was Optic LOL. That was this small bubble in the middle of a lot of things happening, trying to deliver the best possible League of Legends. And thanks for the one who just believe that at the end we are humans and we don't deserve to be treated bad because shitstorm happens somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's a take, and I'm happy because I personally, my takeaway is I didn't know if I was able to do this job when I started because I came out of casting.
Yep.
And now I'm happy in my job. I like my job. There is so many things I need to improve on, right? I'm not saying I'm set yet, but I made it work with what I had till playoff, and I will remember it as a success. Whereas the first year was just a pure failure for me. So at least I'm improving, and that's very important when you do a job that you like. You don't want to be bad at it, but as long as you keep improving, there is a reason for you to keep grinding, right? If I was hitting a wall and being 10th, I would have to acknowledge that I'm bad and I should move forward with another job. But the way the things turn out, I think that there is space for me. I just need to work mostly harder on myself and be surrounded by people that actually fix as well what I can't do. That's what I think.
All right, well, best of luck for the future. This has been Azento from Esports Heaven and Zaboutine from Optic Gaming. Thank you.
Thanks.
I assume if you made it this far, you probably enjoyed the content. So if you did, subscribe and also check out my other content that's more analytical and opinionated. But otherwise, keep it locked at esportsheaven.com, and I'll see you next time. Peace.